When you're ready.
Cool. Hi, this is my presentation on my work experience. I'm going to go through the video, the presentation, even, whatever, through the introduction, explaining the company, my expectations, the task, key events that occurred, how I dealt with those events and why, what skills I'll carry over, and then what skills I need to improve on. There we go. First off, the organisation was an after-school club called Rock Studios, made up of about 7 club members, only up to the age of between about 11 and 15, that kind of age, and teachers who were at this college who also kind of taught them music and that sort of thing. Obviously their aim is to teach the club members how to play music, and then at the end of each term they'll host a performance for the parents of the club members. Here we go, the task, an example we'll play there, was to edit a previously filmed performance together in order to create a show reel and a complete performance. For example, a multi-camera production of the 3 separate songs that they performed. It's quite entertaining, we're getting everyone's heads going like this. The expectations were to communicate regularly with the client with regards to the product and the project. The communication should be friendly, and the student should be approachable about issues and negotiations from the client's point of view. The student will obviously have to have appropriate filming and editing skills in order to actually complete the product, as well as the appropriate time management skills to meet arranged deadlines and things like that. Now, the key events that occurred were the client was contacted about the experience via email. I'm supposed to say email, not mail. There were issues occurring with video formatting, as you can see here. This film was in 4:3 ratio and in a different format to the other videos that I was supposed to edit together. Flexible deadlines were delayed, and now what I mean by that is that the deadline was arranged to be around the following Friday, which is quite vague really, but I took the option for doing it later rather than on the day or sooner. And then after that, further work experience was then offered. How I handled the events. Initial contact with the client was done, first off it was done via email because it's quite a small club and their teachers, they have a lot of other things to do, so email was the way to initiate contact and get a good response. It was also kept to a friendly and professional level in order to allow them to feel comfortable and allow for the student to feel approachable. eSkills said that that's a good way of doing it, but it was, I was friendly without being too friendly, because that could lead to then a lack of respect and then a potential to take advantage of the student of being obviously a work experienced student. They might try and get more out of it because it's free, and that was also said by Freeman. Now, with regards to the issue, I noticed that obviously when after I got the footage, after several meetings with the client, I got the footage, and then I noticed that one of the video formats was in AVI and the 2 others were in MP4. And I'd never experienced this before. This task was expected to be easy because I've done it several times for other departments around the college and some other companies, but I've never had them give footage to me that's been in different formats, and my initial thoughts were that I can't put that together because of transcoding errors. So what I did is I confirmed the problem with a lecturer in a face-to-face meeting. I chose a face-to-face meeting in order to confirm and try and solve the issue, because it's a lot quicker than email. You're both you're both focused, and you both solve problems much quicker. thought I had a backup for that, evidently not. Oh no, I did. Someone called Jarrow, see, said that. You can see it in your notes. Once a solution had then been found, I then contacted the client through email. Now, I contacted the client through email rather than face-to-face because an initial email asking the problem would have been quicker than saying, can I have a meeting with you, we have a problem, and then have the meeting to discuss the problem when I could just say the problem in the email. And then in that email, obviously I said we have a problem, and in the end I said, could you convert the footage for me, because obviously they converted it in the first place and I didn't know how, and converting footage that I had would have just resulted in bad quality footage. And then they said, yep, that's fine, and then sent me the new footage, and then that was all sorted. Now the third issue with regards to deadlines, as I said before, they were agreed to be around a certain day, which is not, it's not specific, and the product was made much later. I think it was about four days or 2 working days after the deadline, as other life and work commitments kind of took priority, which was why it was delayed. This was not the best way to go around it on my part, but I'll explain that a bit later. That was just simply how I felt it would have been better to do at the time, if that makes sense. Okay. And then, despite a slightly later deadline than the roughly arranged day, the client offered me further experience, which was filming a further performance. And then that was, he said, obviously to avoid more formatting issues, and then to then edit this performance together, and that would then make up the footage for the showreel. So I could make edited pieces together and the showreel, because he didn't want the showreel to be made up of shots from that bit, because obviously it wasn't good quality. Yes. Skills I will carry on are contacts with client will remain friendly, professional, and obviously continuous. Gregory G and a couple of other people state that regular communication and enthusiasm are skills that employers really, really look for, especially in students that have just graduated. Now, with communication skills, that also includes speaking, writing, and listening clearly. It's not just obviously about talking to them, you have to talk to them well. For an example, if you go up to them and say, hey dude, how you doing? It's not going to look very professional. And I like to think I continued these skills throughout the experience. However, when a little bit later on with the client, as I got more comfortable speaking to them and the relationship developed, I relaxed a bit, and I started talking a little bit more how I would talk to my friends rather than a client, which could be considered to be unprofessional. So that kind of behaviour will be kept to a minimum. Well, not done at all, dependent on the client. Obviously, if I've got a long relationship with a client and they pretty much are friends, then it will be more accepted. But I won't do that with new clients. Another skill I'll carry over is that if I need help with an issue, as when I asked the lecturer, it will be sought after from the appropriate people. For example, if it's freelance and I have a problem, it could be done through research. If I'm working in a company, I could ask superiors what they would recommend doing. For example, Fickleberry says everyone, even the self-sufficient creative types, can benefit from the help provided by other people. That's another skill I'll carry over from that problem, is that creative problem solving is another skill on Gregory's list of skills that employers really look for in graduates. Since audiovisual companies within the film industry obviously rely very, very heavily on videos and creative imagination, creative problem solving is generally a skill that's really beneficial to the company with regards to income and the stuff you make, really. Now, while the later deadline being taken it was considered to be bad, I was still aware of why that happened and what I did wrong. And another skill on Gregory's list of skills that employers really look for is self-awareness, particularly knowing your weaknesses and where things that you can't do and actually being able to say, yeah, I'm not very good at that, to employers, along with knowing what you are good at. So I'll still carry that over. When I was offered this further work experience, I took it and I said, yep, I'd love to do that. I could have said no. And initiative is a further skill that employers really look for, and employers really look for students who engage in other activities outside their course. For example, my period of work experience was over. I could have just stopped then, but I didn't. I carried on, and then it's work that's outside of my coursework, and employers really look for that. So if I could continue that in other work experience and in just other stuff in general that I do, for example, drawing or acting, that sort of thing, then employers get interested in that. It's a good skill to have. Now, moving on to stuff I need to improve. When I had the formatting issue, that could have actually been found very early on if I had asked details on what formats the footage was in and details about that. I have no idea how to pronounce that guy's name. Kuchilelu. He says that questions should be asked and answered within the first couple of discussions and meetings. And although, obviously, as I said, although I asked details about the final product, I didn't ask details about the footage that they already had. With regards to deadlines, I should try and meet them earlier on. Lovering C says that meeting deadlines is an important part of building up a reliable and responsible reputation as an employee and as a freelancer. And it's essential to keeping clients happy and keeping your relationships with them, because if you constantly say, sorry, it's going to be a bit late, sorry, it's going to be a bit late, they're going to get annoyed and they're not going to want you as working with them anymore. Or if they find someone who's better, they're just going to go there. And although the deadline was flexible, so the client was still happy with the time that I got it in, they said, there you can say turnaround time, met deadlines. I still should try and get it done sooner, because it's always better to do it sooner rather than later. Unless it's obviously for justifiable reasons, in which case you could say to the client, look, I'm really sorry, be honest, this has happened, can I have an extension? Blah. That's another thing that happened that I didn't talk about. When I filmed the final product, the second time, the further work experience, I also offered to design a DVD cover for them and actually burn the stuff to the DVD and make a DVD menu and that sort of thing, which wasn't part of the original agreement. The original agreement is just to make the video files and then hand it over to them along with the showreel. But I said, look, I've had experience in this before, I can do this for you. While it's good to offer other skills that I have, I didn't really have the time to do it. They weren't initially agreed with the client, and they put extra pressure on other parts of my life, and they also affected time management because I hadn't scheduled that in my time frame. And it's very important to manage time and stress in order to complete projects. Taking on or offering extra tasks when time is limited anyway could badly affect other projects that are going on, so I shouldn't really do that. There's another point that the client mentioned with regards to these tasks. If you can see Where is it? Yeah, in the second section where it says what were the main areas of progress and development, they said graphics layout could have discussed more with client. Now because I offered the surface, I didn't even consult with them about the idea, I just thought, I'll do it. Which was very, very wrong as a designer, you shouldn't do it. You should always say, is this okay, rather than just giving them the final product and going, that's it. And yeah, there you go. Isn't it? Any questions?
That's it. How did you get the work experience in the first place?
They actually emailed them, they emailed lecturers, and they then said, does anyone want to do it? And I was like, oh, I do. I emailed them after that, saying, I heard you needed some video showreel doing. Do you want me to do it? Yeah. Then?
So how long did you take to actually produce this at the time?
From start to finish,
yeah.
Or from when I got the footage
Did
sorted?
you get any money out of this?
I did on the second, when I filmed the performances and then edited that footage together, I got paid.
Did you find it was adequate compared to the amount of work you put in?
What, with speaking from a work experience point of view or from an actual employment point of view?
I suppose both.
Well, from a work experience point of view, I was actually quite pleased to get paid. I thought that was quite nice, and they offered to pay. From an employment point of view, I only got paid £50 for a product that was about that long and that much effort. It might be going into the hundreds. So it doesn't quite weigh up, but it was still nice to get paid, I thought, because it was work experience.
Did you do it on your own or did someone?
For the filming part, Simon helped because he was another camera.
Yeah.
But for the editing part, I did it. Yeah.
So you didn't get a cut?
No. Yeah.
Are you still involved?
They asked if I could. Well, we spoke slightly about doing following performances, but then they kind of said, actually, no, we won't film this one, and then I haven't heard from them since. Yeah.
How long are you going to leave that before you follow that one up, do you think?
I don't know, I let it, obviously I let it go to one side because I really wanted to focus on the course, and I felt that my time management should really go to that rather than extra little bits on the side, because, as I was saying to Ben, from an employment point of view, the amount that I was getting paid wasn't quite relative to the amount of time and things that it took. So I felt it would be more beneficial to the course. Yeah.
Can I just make a point about networking?
Mm.
So you talked in the beginning about use of language, being friendly but not overly friendly.
Mm.
Knowing the client, not knowing the client. So obviously based on that will be first impressions. And then you went on to talk about verbal or textual communication,
Yes.
which I thought was really interesting too, because some stuff is going to be misinterpreted,
Yes.
or might not be. It depends on your tone, etc.
Yeah.
So tone's a really important part of communication.
Yeah.
So how would you think take that forwards in terms of networking, moving forwards in terms of the area that you want to move into?
You mean like if I was to contact someone completely new, what would my behaviour be?
Yeah.
I would still keep it to how I was with this client, kind of open and friendly. Obviously, to show that I'm a nice person to work with, and I'm happy for that sort of thing, but not too, for want of a better term, in your face, and not too overbearing, because some clients don't really like that kind of relationship. It really depends, with people, it depends on the client and how they like. Some clients are really open and they think, yeah, it's great, wonderful, woo. other clients are very reserved and very professional, very kind of no business only. So I would kind of try and keep a balance between friendly behaviour and professional behaviour until I get to know that client more, and then I would go to whatever I felt was best. If that makes sense.
Based on experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's really interesting. You kind of got two polar opposites.
Yeah.
Or you're kind of talking about language in a very dialectical way, like, right, you've got black and white.
Yeah.
Is it really like that?
It's not quite black and white. It's just trying to contextualise it into, or simplify it down.
So there's levels of
Right.
friendly, right? Yeah?
Yeah.
What do you think that people like to hear?
Well,
You're talking about making them feel good
yeah,
when you're saying friendly,
yeah.
or not?
Well, again, I think this depends on the client, because if it's a smaller business, they can sometimes feel quite intimidated. And if you want repeat business, they're going to want to go with someone who they feel comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the bigger companies.
Okay, how do you make them feel comfortable?
Well, just by having kind of being cheerful, not being blunt when writing, saying hello, maybe starting a sentence with saying hello, I hope all is well, I'm just wondering about this, not using aggressive language if the client does something wrong, like with formatting. Being patient as well if things go wrong, or if the client's a bit slow at replying, that sort of thing, because you don't know what's going on in their life. Does that answer your question?
They sound like very professional things to me.
I've read quite a lot about it on
Yeah.
various different things.
That's good. But before we were saying that they were different.
Yes. Well, wait, what are you asking me now?
Well, I think you've answered my question.
Okay.
Actually, they're very similar.
Yeah. Yeah, because of course, I suppose part of being professional is to be friendly and not aggressive and shouting. Ugh. And obviously it's not professional to shout at clients and be blunt in emails.
It's quite interesting because I mean, a lot of you guys have kind of sound like you're working on your own. Were you working on your own?
No.
What was your position in the company?
Well, it's kind of difficult to answer because
Are you calling Chichester College the client and you're working freelance?
Yeah.
Or were you part of a design team, like with Duncan, like
Well,
working together?
at first it felt like I was a freelance and just Chichester College was the client, or Rock Studios was the client, but then as I started meetings and talking face to face about what the sort of things that he wanted, it was much more of a partnership rather than just separate.
That's very
things.
interesting. Which did you prefer?
I prefer the partnership. I found it a lot easier, especially knowing, talking to them and getting to know what they wanted, what they liked, what they were about, what their relationship with the club members was. I think that was the most interesting part for me, was actually the second part when I filmed it, being really part of that. You know, they were talking to me, just having general conversations. I wasn't just there, I was part of everything that was going on.
It's really interesting when you say they, because I know what Rock Studios is, and it's only a small, tiny little franchise of Chichester College and the big, massive, multi-million-pound industry that it is. Who's they? Who actually owns that company? Who's the actual top, and what's their job role?
See, I should know that. It's interesting that I don't. I mean, Duncan was the first person who contacted me, but I know that he had to consult his boss first. So I think it's also, they're not an independent company. It's kind of part of a college, so the hierarchy system is quite different.
Well, it would be the principal.
Yeah, okay. Maybe.
She's the final say-so
Yeah.
on everything, but probably doesn't have that much involvement.
Yeah.
So you're essentially working for an in-house graphics company as
Yes.
an employee.
Yeah.
I think that's what your role is.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that? So Luke is working for in-house or not in-house design company?
That's not in-house.
No,
No.
it's standalone.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a difference?
I guess so, because in terms of branding, because Rock Studios have to then conform to Chichester College's branding, and then I'm working for Rock Studios, so I don't just have to look at Rock Studios, I also have to look at Chichester College in Rock Studios,
Mm-hmm.
and then put that in the videos that I make.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it also, you mentioned you had to speak to lots of lecturers who didn't sound like they had formal or informal qualifications within design or knowledge of
No.
or real awareness of branding. They're lecturers in music.
Yeah.
And yet you're having to kind of cater for their needs. I can imagine that was slightly frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, they said roughly what they wanted, but it was kind of, the descriptive words were kind of, cool and rock, like kind of videos, and I thought, right, okay, that's, about this much stuff to look at. But the difference was, with the first instance, I was given stuff to work with. I didn't have to come up with shot styles and that sort of thing. It had already been done. It was just the editing that I had to take care of. So, I mean, I did a little bit of research and then just kind of went with what I felt was best, and then said, I hope to the client, I hope this is okay. Let me know if it's not.
What kind of research? Just really briefly.
Things like a couple of music videos, a couple of live performances, that sort of thing. But then obviously after looking at them, I thought, well, the shots aren't the same, so I'm dealing with different stuff in a way.
I might have gone straight for other educational establishments, especially music schools.
That would have made sense.
They seemed like competitors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That would have made a lot of
Try and
sense.
make it as relevant as possible, I think.
Yeah.
I had another question, and I think it relates quite a lot to working for an in-house design company. Whereas, for example, Luke's company, what was it called again?
MBG.
NBG.
And
Yeah. They might actually, and this actually goes back to Russell's point, they might actually go back to the client and go, actually, we think that there's a better solution for you. And I know lots of small freelance people, sole traders that do that go, I know you asked for this, but actually, that's old hat, mate. The new thing is this, and this is what I think you're looking for, and try to persuade them. Whereas if you're working with an in-house design company, really frequently, you don't get that opportunity. So my question is, and that's a very long-winded question, is did you consider the usefulness of or relevance of the product for its intended outcomes? What were the outcomes?
Well, for me,
What was the reason for making this product?
it was mainly, from what I gathered, and I'm pretty sure this is correct, it was for the parents of the club members, for them to, it's like a memory thing to watch. Say, look, here's my kid.
Why would you? No, let's go a little bit deeper than that.
Okay.
Why would you do something like that for nothing?
Me, or for.
And why would an in-house design company do that? Why would the marketing department do that? Why would you make something for parents?
Because parents can
There
show.
must be some return.
Parents will often show other family members or friends, and then go, look at how amazing it is, and they'll go, oh, maybe my kid could do that, and then they get more money because they send their kid off to go do the same thing.
Right. So now knowing that it's about marketing,
Yeah.
increasing recruitment, which is what they need to do, okay? Knowing that, do you think that that was the best product, or did that never even occur to you?
Never even occurred to me actually. I thought of it at the time of of making it, I thought, okay, well, it's a performance for the parents to watch because they want to be able to watch it again when the kids are older, that sort of thing.
Do you think that's inherent for a lot of designers that work in-house?
Probably. Well,
And would that be enough to make you consider not working in an in-house design department?
I don't think so. I'm still happy with making that sort of thing, but I'm going to need to look a bit deeper into products that I make in the future, and possibly ask more questions from the client about what they want to get out of the product, rather than just show it to parents. Yeah.
Can I just ask a question about, you talked about the structural hierarchy of people you work for and the company you work for, but in your notes and in your presentation you used the word superiors.
Yes.
What makes them superior?
Well, they have more experience within that company and know more about it than I do. From that point of view.
From that being superior? What
But
can they offer you by being more superior, do you think?
Well, they have more experience than I do. Being a work experience student, I don't have that much experience with their company. Well, let me start again. Being a newcomer to their company, they know a lot more about what they want than I do, and what they want from what their company to look like. And
Then why would they need you? If they know
well,
what they're looking for?
because I have the skills that they don't have, and I have more experience in that sense, and they need my experience.
So
but
who's
I'm-
superior?
It's a paradox. I don't know anymore. I'm superior in the sense that I have more skills, and I know how to make what they want, but they're more superior in their company. Does that make sense?
So it's a transactional.
Yeah.
It's required. So in looking back on that, do you think superior is the right word?
No. Probably not. I have to get a dictionary to find out what word would be best.
Do you think your, let's say, lack of time within the industry makes you feel like that?
Yes. Very much so. I mean, while I say I've got experience in that area, I've done a couple of other things, as in I've done it a couple of times before. It's not extensive experience.
Because I think this is kind of a recurring pattern here about self-confidence.
Yeah. And then I've got more confidence as I've gone along.
Well, how can you take some of those skills that you've learned throughout the course, throughout that, in terms of transferring those skills so that you can broaden your horizons?
Well, I have more confidence obviously working with in-house companies and making videos for them. I can kind of go to similar companies and then build up that experience more and more, or I can go for a completely different company and try building up my experience in that area.
When you say building up experience, in what ways? What kind of, how could you approach the job market?
What do you mean?
In terms of, would you potentially be looking for full-time paid employment, or maybe some work experience? Or
I think,
what creative ways are there in with the skills that you have to transfer them into the workplace?
well, skills that I have at the moment, I have experience now working with clients, that sort of thing. I can say to people, if I was looking for a job, I would kind of say that I have these skills working with other people, with new companies, with repeated companies, and still producing products that they're happy with. If I was going for work experience, I would probably try more for the skills rather than saying, yeah. I think,
Sounds like more of an agenda.
yeah, I would have work experience would be my own personal. I would have my own what I would want to get from that. Whereas a job, I would be trying to work to them rather than my. Well, I'd do that in a work experience. Yeah.
transferring these skills, isn't it, for the workplace, through different types of work that you'll have,
Yeah,
different kind of jobs, whether you're working alone.
yeah.
You know, entering the workplace, you know, it's not just your traditional CV interview job.
No,
You can, you know, there's going to be ways in that you may not have even considered yet.
yeah.
So,
I still think working with people is one of the biggest ones that I can, one of the biggest, not the only one, but one of the biggest that I can show off to people.
Here's a bombshell question. Was it the best work experience to find?
No, probably not. Because it's quite, mainly because it's quite a small company.
Really?
Well, it's kind of part of obviously a massive company, so in that sense it's not quite, but it's not, the work that I did wasn't to a, well, it was to a professional level, but not, I wasn't doing it for a company who had seen extensive amounts of other stuff, other similar stuff, if that makes any sense. So if I went to, it'd be very different if I went to a video production company and got experience with them rather than people who want videos for their club members' parents who would then show it to other parents. It's a very different market that I'm building for. Yeah.
It's interesting because you don't really consider those things right at the start.
No.
But I think there's a lot of valuable things come out. I mean, the general discussion between people has been, right, next time I go into somewhere I'm going to want to develop these things. This is what I'm looking to develop. It's that kind of forward thinking instead of maybe just desperate, I need some work experience kind of thing. But there were good opportunities and there's valuable learning, definitely. At 50 quid.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Thank you so much.